That was the most colorful and painstaking introduction ever in my life. I had myself forgotten that I studied in Mettur. But yes, I did. And it was nice to follow Biju Kurian, who was my boss for so many years, and listen to him speak exactly in the same manner that I remember him 20 years back. Thank you, RAI, for inviting me here. It's an honor, privilege, and especially in the context of people. In this new world of technology and omni-channel and all that, bots and AI, it's almost as if, people are not required. And everything can be done by machines, and, it's so easy to do all that. But we are in retail, and many of us are in retail businesses which are very personal, which are very special in nature, which often involve families, most of the time couples, friends. It's not, I can't imagine a group of 10 people, hovering around one telephone and making an order for something that they want to buy. They normally go to a store and enjoy that experience inside. And therefore, it's very, very, important, like Biju said, for all of us to be obsessed, actually, obsessed with people. And so therefore, when I was thinking about, what I can tell you from my own experience, which is making some kind of sense to you, and with my colleague Savita in Titan, we put together a certain thread that we felt that we do reasonably well in Titan. And it's actually a philosophy at Titan. And maybe there is something that would be of use to you. Excuse me? Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Bhaskar Bhatt, who was the managing director of Titan for many years, was my boss for many, many years. And one of the things he used to say for about starting somewhere in the middle of around 2015, that how can we call employees resources? They have feelings. How can they be resources? Resources are things which, often or sometimes run out of their utility, and you have to discard them or sell them, maybe retrofit them or whatever it is. So employees are not resources, they have feelings. But the name human resources in Titan continued to be there as a name for a while, till in 2022, when that time CHRO retired, and we brought in a successor from outside, Swadesh Behra, who's now there. And I took that opportunity to change the name of that function. It's not an original name. In fact, I saw out of various speakers in this seminar, most of them are called HR, but there are one or two which are called people. And so it's not original, but what we were actually practicing in Titan for a very long time, even longer than when Bhaskar made that comment in 2015, I said we need to formalize that so that everyone in the organization, in the extended organization, because we have close to 70,000 plus people working on Titan in some way or the other for our franchisee partners, vendor partners, CNFAs, distributors, you name the partner, and all of us, we think of ourselves as a family. That's the word we use all the time, the Titan family. So I said that we need to formalize this the name which sort of signals that outlook to everybody in the company as to how the company will behave. And therefore, people function, not HR, CPO, not CHRO. And all of us who have seen American movies are aware how when somebody is sacked, and sacked so unceremoniously on a particular day. It is the HR which is sitting in front of that person in that cabin, and then you see that person, through the glass you see some conversation happening, and the person is getting all worked up, she's been asked to leave or he's been asked to leave, and then 2 minutes later there is one cardboard box into which all those photographs are kept, and you see that person walking out, summarily given the pink slip, and it is HR which has actually delivered that blow, and HR which is behind that crime kind of thing. Actually, it is not really that function either. It is the management of that organization which has made that happen. But the bad name that typically comes globally and even in India for HR because of these kinds of things is legion. So I don't need to emphasize that. So we said it is the chief people officer, and the chief people officer's responsibility is not just to the employees of Titan Company, but it is to the extended family of Titan Company. So we have gardeners who keep our campus one of the most beautiful campuses in the world. Now I keep saying it is an exceptionally beautiful campus in Bangalore, and without those gardeners actually working with passion and hard work to trim those bushes, to clean those water bodies, feed those fishes and all that, it won't be a sensory experience like it is when people come in and say, wow, what a place you people work in. And therefore, are they not people? Are those gardeners not people? We are all in retail. Every retail or most retail stores have a security guard. We often, most of the time, see through the security guard. We don't even think or recognize his existence. How would he smile at the customers who are walking in through the door if nobody inside the store, his colleagues, don't smile at him, don't even recognize him? So this is the essence of what I want to leave with you today, and how we actually do things to make this come alive as much as we can. So that is the whole subject of my conversation topic here. So what all do we do? And I've just taken the evolve, engage, elevate to illustrate things. Now, when we meet employees in Titan, especially the retail people who are in the thousands, today we have about 3,500 or some such number. It is the largest segment of employees today in Titan Company, people who work in our stores. So they tell us that, look, we want to become merchandisers. We want to join the customer experience team in the regional office or in the head office. How can you help us actually fulfill this aspiration of ours? So we do many things. For example, there are people at various levels in the merchandising function who conduct master classes in merchandising. Because if I'm a retail employee, but very good in product, I know what kind of products sell, I know how to assort a store, but when I go to an interview on merchandising, a junior position in Bangalore or Bombay or wherever, the first question is, but you don't have merchandising experience. You don't know what is merchandising conceptually. I don't, because all the time I've been selling whatever products I've been selling. But if a junior merchandiser in Bangalore were to take a master class on merchandising, and I'm listening to that masterclass, and I understand how you actually, if I take jewelry, there is a category called bangle, there is then weight band, 5 grams to 10 grams, 10 grams to 15 grams, singles, doubles, 4 pieces of bangles, etc. So that's the manner in which I do the assortment in bangles. I never thought of it as a store person, but when the merchandiser is telling me through a masterclass, I start understanding the logic of how to build a range for a store and how to decide what kind of catchments. Is it middle class? Is it more Gujarati? Is it upper class catchment? And accordingly, is it more gold, more diamond? And therefore, the principles of building an assortment, I understand. And therefore, when I go to an interview, I am more knowledgeable about what assortment is, and I bring in all the knowledge of my what will sell, which is the category expertise, and combine with it and take a better shot at that merchandising job which is on offer. Or there is what we have a big thing called a project marketplace, where, taking the same example, the merchandising head of a particular brand launches a project where she seeks collaboration from people across the company And this person from the store can actually raise her hand and say, I want to participate in that project and actually contribute. And through that contribution, she also learns about merchandising more and more and more. And therefore, through a project, through the project marketplace, through the masterclass, and other things, and I won't sort of go into so much of detail, but multiple things which are sitting in this entire career, platform that we offer, a person in the store can actually join the merchandising department, or if the person is so good in customer experience in the store, all the customers love her, she features in most of the Google reviews by name, but the science and the systems of customer experience are not known to her. So by participating in a masterclass or a project, she gets to know what it is to run a customer experience program, even to execute. And then when a job opens, she raises her hand, she's much better qualified now to actually be considered. So therefore, at scale, how can an organization help fulfill the aspirations of the thousands of staff who are working in the stores? Because otherwise, if some of them don't get that opportunity and we keep recruiting people from outside, are they destined to be on the floor of the store for 30 years, 35 years if the retirement age is 60, and you join the company in 25, are you supposed to be selling for 35 years? Now, when we think of employees as people as opposed to resources, we start thinking more in this direction. At least that's our experience. We also have, there is this MBA school called Great Lakes in Chennai, and we collaborate with Great Lakes to create a program for people in the stores again, for a salesperson to become a floor manager, for a floor manager to become a store manager, for a store manager to become an area manager of a region, of a small region, and so on and so forth. So there is a lot of, on-the-job kind of projects, and there is the classes which Great Lakes put together along with our people to design it. And there are many examples of people who have moved after doing this program into these kind of roles and actually found a better future for themselves. The third thing, example I would like to give is, on the subject of diversity. We want more and more and more women to do all kinds of jobs, in the company. I went to this fabulous Harrier and Safari plant of Tata Motors in Pune. That whole plant, and there are 1,300 employees there, all women. And it was just so goosebumpy to see 22, 24-year-old young women, who are in their overalls and with their big electric screwdrivers standing below these Safaris and Harriers which are going above them and just assembling them. Now, if it is possible for young women and their supervisors above them, young women to assemble these very big cars, actually women can do anything. And how does an organization enable? So I met this young woman called Sneha. She works with Titan in Pune. I bumped into her coincidentally 2 days back in Bangalore. And she's a visual merchandiser. So she travels across stores to set up the stores and make them look beautiful. And the last time I met her, some 4 or 5 years back, she had a small child. I think the child was 2 or 3 or something. And she was traveling with that 2 or 3-year-old child into deep Chhattisgarh and MP and all that, to the Titan World and the Helios, our watch brand stores. And she was actually setting up the windows and doing all that. She would stay 2-3 days in a Jabalpur or a Gwalior or towns like that, and this baby was traveling with her. The baby was in the store playing around with whoever was playing around with her while mother was setting up all this. And I was joking, baby is growing up to be a visual merchandiser or maybe a big designer, because you're giving deep training at the age of 3. But enabling young women to actually overcome these kind of challenges. Otherwise, imagine how can Sneha ever do what she's doing if the baby is not taken care of? So what kind of policies can we proactively create, give, and all that is the other point that is sitting here as part of DEI. engage, and here I won't go through all the examples. There is a very powerful manager promise called CREST, which is about how each of us as a people manager, meaning managers managing the teams, in our care, how do we create, multiple things to make the overall environment the most effective. But I'll talk more about the second one, which is what we call Tell Me. Now, Tell Me is one of the most powerful programs in Titan, where today it's a conversation that the employees have with the managing director and the CPO. And we do we meet this year, we just finished 60 groups of 8 to 10 employees, and it takes 8 to 10 full days of my time every year. This is formal listening. I mean, I meet people otherwise all the time, but we are just sitting around the conference room in Pantnagar or Kolkata or Bangalore or Hosur or wherever, and listening to a homogeneous group of employees, 10, 8 at a time, including security guards, gardeners, housekeeping folks and all that. And this is where the MD and the CPO are at the same. This is not like a town hall where typically, the senior folks are on a stage and the employees are like this. So the equation, the power balance in a town hall is like that. But here the gardener is sitting at the same level as me, just across the table. And I remember people telling them, sir, we don't care if anything comes out of this conversation at all. It is just enough for us that we are sitting across the table at the same level as both of you and Swadesh, who is the CPO. So that kind of deep engagement, and it dramatically changed so many policies, so many processes that we have in Titan Company. One girl told me, she was an area manager, she told me, sir, you people sit in 20 degrees environment and create policies and processes for us who work in 40 degrees. You never come, or you rarely come, to the 40 degrees and actually understand what is happening before you create whatever you're creating. So the whole empathy that we require by being there in the Gemba, how much are leaders of the company, including people leaders of the company, how much time is being spent by them in the front line on the Gemba. I used to joke this now for 10 years now, I used to joke that if I did not travel, I would have no work. And I was being serious. I mean, I travel a hell of a lot, and I travel to the smallest places in the country. There's not a place that I've not been to, kind of thing. And that's when you go there, when you go to, I was in Junagadh like 10 days back. I mean, Junagadh is a very, very small town. So you go to Junagadh and you meet the salespeople in the store there. You get to know what actually, or the vendor partners who make our jewelry in Junagadh. That's when you get to know the reality. Obviously, the strategy that any organization forms is not necessarily coming from those visits. Strategy is often a product of imagination. But a lot of nuts and bolts work that organizations also need to do, especially to make the smooth flow at the customer end happen without fail. Empowerment of every single person in the chain happen without fail. All that happens only when the generals are not sitting in the headquarters thinking that they're formulating strategy and not spending enough time in the trenches actually talking to the soldiers. I mean, just to use the military analogy, obviously we're not necessarily fighting a war out there in Junagadh, but you know what I mean from an metaphor point of view. The third part is elevate, and how do we actually sort of send joy and happiness and thrill and energy into our people. And that's a very, very powerful thing, and it can make up for the inability of the organization to pay top dollar, because not every organization is in that kind of situation, or a strategy of the organization may dictate it to go in a particular way. So we have multiple ways in which we engage, elevate the people of Titan. And for example, there's a program called the Pillars of Titan, The Pillars of Titan is meant for the top leaders of the company. We have about 150 of them today, called divisional managers and above. And this is an annual event that we do, and we just finished it in August 2nd or something, 6th, I think. So all the 150 leaders of Titan were called, some of them from outside Bangalore, to our jewelry factory conference, a very large conference hall. And we spent about 7 hours appreciating each one of those 150 people, where the manager of that leader spoke about it. And what was moving was that we got the family of each one of those leaders to speak about that leader, and that was a big surprise. And that was played in random order when each one of those leaders were thinking, so is my family going to talk about me? Did they reach out? Did they get the video? Stuff like that. So it was a very moving 7 hours, which actually cemented further the already existing feeling that all 150 of us had for Titan on the one hand, for each other on the other hand, and really bonded as a family. We keep using this word family, family, family. And about 3-4 months back, I came across a total counterpoint view from Mark Randolph, who is the founder of Netflix. And the headline of Mark Randolph said, an organization is not a family. And he went on to say, will you sack a member of the family? Okay. So I suddenly like, my God, are we is our whole thing wrong and all that? But that's a long story. I won't, spend time on it. It'll take a few minutes to illustrate why maybe he's right for the US, and we are very much right, for India, where the culture is a family culture. So this Pillars of Titan was one. And then we started this Pillars of Titan in 2022. And in a way, inspired by that, we moved on to what is called the PowerHouse of Titan. And coincidentally, I had one meeting just yesterday where the international business of Titan. So this took it to the next level of the organization, about 500 to 600 managers. So the Pillars is 150. The PowerHouse is about 600 employees, and we just did the international business division. A small team because it's a growing business of about 14 managers, and where each manager was called out, her, strengths, what she contributes, her personality aspects of it. And what was made interesting was, the leader of that team was a big Harry Potter fan, and he ended up using, different Harry Potter characters to call out, okay, Archana is this, Gaurav is that kind of thing, to bring a lot of engagement, interest, at least for those of us who knew those characters from Harry Potter. But basically, invest a lot of time in calling out individuals, their contributions, their personal things, and actually create a lot of joy and happiness within. And when that happens, actually magic is so much possible. The third is a face-to-face, which we do at scale for all the sales staff. This is a party which happens certainly once a year, but sometimes twice a year, on the ground in all parts of the country, where many times I go there. So it's basically an evening of fun where we sing and dance, and we get the talent in the stores to come alive on the stage, typically song and dance kind of thing. And essentially to thank them, to let their hair down, to de-stress from the daily, grind of sales. And it is so easy for us to walk into a store at 3 p.m. on a typical day and find that the store is empty. Most stores would be empty at that time, and conclude that, my God, these guys don't have work, right? And then you go at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and weekends, Diwali, Christmas, many other parts when the crowds just surge and customers want 11 p.m., midnight, 24/7 sales. And then in that window of between 6 p.m. and 10, 11 p.m., they are just finished. Whatever relaxation they ended up doing, not that they wanted. So this is for that de-stressing thing. And of course, the other one which we started last year was BACD, which is Brand Ambassador Celebration Day. And we got inspired from the Retail Employees Day, which is December, if I'm right. So we said RED happens. We are part of RED, which Nagesh conceived long back. And when I heard the RED scale globally, I said, Nagesh, I mean, you're like God, man, and all that. I saw it in Brazil and some other countries in South America. So the RED we celebrate, but we said one day is not enough. So we do a BACD, which is August 8th or something like that. And where we have some 20,000 plus staff across all our brands in 3,000 plus stores. So they dress up for the day, they come and they sing and dance, post videos all over the place, photographs, they have pizza parties. It's a gala, the whole day is a gala. Of course, sales also happens. But, so that BACD is the other thing. So this is just a photograph from the Pillars function. And so these are the top 150 leaders of Titan. So put together at the end of the thing, totally bonded through these, different ways in which we ended up touching them. This is the Long Service Award, again a big thing. For example, this we did 3 weeks back, and the guy in the middle he completed 25 years in Titan, and his wife, who's in the picture, she completed 21 years by then in the tech company, global tech company that she works in. She was telling me, I was asking her, do you guys do this in your company? She said, no, I mean, there's a portal, on which this is put, the statistic appears that I have completed 20 years, and people come there and all that they do. I said, you don't have a hotel function like this where you and your husband go on stage, people clap and there is a lot of confetti. I said, no, it all happens online. So I said, okay, to each his own, but we know what to do. It is all offline, on ground, in person only, and that's how we keep so this is part of that BACD. Can you play this video, please? The sound. As they say, the music is always in our heads. Let's try again. I'd end with my most powerful story in the last 35 years in Titan. This was in 2012, Diwali day. I had had a sumptuous breakfast. I was at home. And I called this guy, Tarun Mukherjee, a colleague of mine. He was a store manager of our biggest store in Delhi, South Extension, Tanishq. So I called him at 10 and said, hi Tarun, how's the traffic? And Diwali is a big day for us. How's the traffic as customers started coming in? Tarun said, oh, I'm sorry, Venkat, after 20 years in retail, I've just moved to become an ABM last month. So I'm not in the store at the moment. I'm at home, with my family, enjoying Diwali. Can I get back to you in 10 minutes? So, 20 years, Diwali spent by Tarun only in the store. Some of it was in the South Extension store of Titan, Tanishq. Many years with another jeweler that he was part of. But 20 consecutive Diwalis spent away from his family. And the first Diwali after 20 years, he was spending with his family. And here I was calling him, disturbing him, actually. Not knowing, but still disturbing him and asking him for the sales. So immediately I just sort of froze and I said, Tarun, you go back to your family, you enjoy the Diwali. Let me speak to Shiv, who was actually the store manager. I had known about it, but forgotten. So this actually is what the retail people are about. As part of the Tell Me, last year, one optometrist in Delhi from our iPlus store, she told me, sir, my husband and I haven't had a single Sunday together in 9 years. 9 years. I didn't know what to tell her. And they keep asking us, can we get one Sunday off in 3 months? I hope there are companies here which do that. We are yet to do that. So those are the people who are the retail people, and that's why they are people and not human resources. Thank you.